It may not be a surprise that construction sites are the most dangerous workplaces in America. Thousands and thousands of people are injured on a yearly basis on construction sites, in construction site accidents, and many unfortunately die as a result of those accidents. And so we are consulted with often by people who have suffered injuries on a job site. As you might also anticipate, when a person is injured on a job site, the injuries are usually very severe. We oftentimes see accidents involving falls, I think, are the most common. Falls from roofs, falls from ladders or scaffolds. And those, because of the nature of that, usually result in really serious injuries that not only require significant medical care and treatment, but also cause a person who's dependent upon that job for their income, cause them to lose time from work. And so we're consulted with very often about these serious injuries. And if you're involved in an accident like this on a construction site, you need to seek legal counsel immediately. They bring into play many complex legal issues. I think the most common is, and the most common belief is, that when a person is injured on a construction site, in the course and scope of their employment, they're entitled to workers' compensation, and that's certainly true. What people quickly find out is that workers' compensation doesn't really provide adequate compensation for the injuries that a person suffers. They'll cover some of your necessary medical bills, they'll cover some of your lost income, your time from work, but they don't cover things like your pain and suffering, the diminished quality of your life that invariably results from these catastrophic injuries. So you need someone who understands, in addition to workers' compensation, whether you also might have what's called a third-party liability lawsuit. You can't sue your employer, with very, very small exceptions. You can't sue your employer in a civil lawsuit. You're limited to workers' compensation against your employer. So even if your employer is really the negligent party that caused your accident, more often than not, you're going to be limited to workers' compensation recovery for that. However, if you can present a factual situation where there might be others on the job site who have contributed to that accident, you may be able to bring a third-party lawsuit as a result of that and be able to recover more fully for your injuries. The types of things where we oftentimes will see is, for example, if someone falls from a scaffold, even though they may be able to bring a workers' compensation action for their injuries, there may also be an action against either the company that constructed or maintained the scaffolding, maybe even the owner or general contractor if they were actually affirmatively involved in the situation that gave rise to the accident. And that's an important term of art now in the industry. It used to be that general contractors and owners could be held more easily responsible for just their failure to be the captain of the ship that they always recognized they were, and if a dangerous condition existed on a work site, that they were responsible for not either themselves remedying the condition or having somebody else do it. The law in California, unfortunately for people who have been injured on job sites, has changed over the years and has made it much more difficult to hold anyone responsible for that injury and that condition unless the facts show that that general contractor or that owner affirmatively contributed to the dangerous condition. They either had an express obligation to inspect and maintain it, and they failed in that obligation, or they actually instructed someone to construct something in a way that turned out to be dangerous. And so it's important, if you've been injured in a construction site accident, to seek consultation with someone who has a lot of experience in this field, because the law has changed, the regulations have changed, the OSHA regulations have changed, and it's important for a lawyer to understand those, to be able to evaluate whether your accident may only be the subject of a workers' compensation action, or whether, because of the facts and circumstances of the accident, whether you might also have legal rights against others who contributed to your accident to hopefully seek full, fair justice for you to compensate you for the injuries that you've suffered.